classes. I admit that I dropped out of school. I admit that I wasn't that cool. I admit I just feel like retiring. Admit I just don't feel like trying. But all my real niggas around me keep telling me, Kels, fuck that, you gotta keep climbing. I admit it, I did. I done fuck with a couple of fags. I admit I'm a gift and a curse. I admit that I don't go to church. I admit it, I admit it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. I admit I got so many flaws. Told so many lies to these calls. Blew so much money, pop so many bottles. Shit, I fuck a bitch just because. Nigga, I had a hell of a day, but I admit I was in my own way. I admit I had my mama crying over me. What else can a nigga say? I admit I can't spell for shit. I admit that all I hear is hits. I admit I couldn't read the teleprompter when the Grammys asked me to present. I admit I love God, but wait, it's so much temptation, but wait. Admit to the drinking and smoking too much, but it helped me get through the day. Won't say no names and understand, but one night at the Ritz, did some shit I should've did. Waiting for the bliss. I admit that I did. I fucked my girlfriend's best friend. Yeah, I topped that in back of my pants. I admit I'm sorry for my sins. I admit it, I admit it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. Yeah. I admit I trust people too much. I admit I can't say such and such, but lawyers told me settle this, even though it's bullshit. Kelly, protect your career. All these people in my ear. I admit I've been tempted by drugs. I admit that I just need a hug. I admit the devil talk to me sometimes, but the devil's not who I trust. I've been fucked by so many damn managers. Why they push me out front of these cameras? All this music I done gave to them, and now they play me like a fucking amateur. I got a life, yeah. I got a right, yeah. Cancel my shows, that shit ain't right. How they gon' say I don't respect these women when all I've done is represent? Take my career and turn it upside down, cause you met I've got some girlfriends. And with this record deal, it ain't worth this shit for real. Ain't seen my kids in years. They try to lock me up like hell. How much can a nigga take? How much can a nigga break? Just wanna do my music, stop stressing me. Please just let me age gracefully. I admit it, I admit it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. They took my gift and they blind me. Where the fuck is my money? Now here come this big ass conspiracy. I still got my fans, that's a blessing. Listen to heaven, just stay on my grind, and that's 24/7. I'm down on me, I put that on reverend. Been a grown man since age 11. Lying on the guap since 7. Rest in peace to my homie Kevin. I admit it, I admit it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did. I admit I'm a freak. Used to go to strip clubs every week. But who these niggas tryna say I am? Man, I'm not, and I put that on G. I admit I fuck with all the ladies. That's both older and young ladies. But tell me how they call it pedophile because of that shit, that's crazy. You may have your opinions, entitled to your opinions. But really, am I supposed to go to jail or lose my career because your opinion? Yeah, go ahead and stone me. Point your finger at me. Turn around, look against me. Like only God can mute me. I admit that I fired some people. I admit that I hired new people. I admit that those people I fired on my mama was crooked ass people. I admit that I don't own my music. I admit that I will on my music. Want it back, but they don't wanna do it. What the fuck, nigga? I wrote that music. I did that bump and grind. I did that 12 play. I did that fed up. I changed the damn game. So I deserve me a fair play. So put some respect on my damn name. Now Wendy Williams mad with me, but I ain't never offer her no drink. But I admit that she asked me, can I get a little Hennessy? Then we both turned off our phone. We drink, I smoke, we talk. And I admit that I told it all. From my good points to my faults. She said, what about a Lee? I said, love. She said, what about the tape? I said, hush. I said, my lawyer said, don't say none. But I can tell you I've been set up. I admitted how ever since the first day, that without knowing I signed my publishing away. I admitted I was young and caught up and so blind, yeah. Said I had dyslexia, couldn't read all the contracts, yeah. And now the truth in this message is I'm a broke ass legend. The only reason I stay on tour is cause I gotta pay my rent. I never thought that it would come to this, to being the most disrespected artist. So I had to write a song about it, cause they always take my words and twist it. Believe me, it's hard to admit all this, but I'm in my feelings about this shit. But I had to set the fucking record straight. So I admit it, I made it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. I admit I love Steve Harvey, John Legend, and Tom Joyner. They're doing good in their lives right now. Why would they want to tear down another brother? Women show black men some love, cause black men, we go through enough. How can we get up off the ground when we steady tear each other down? I admit that the devil is busy, and some people beside me ain't with me. I admit that I'm gonna do this music up until the Lord come get me. Now, I admit a family member touched me. Touch me, touch me, touch me. From a child to the age 14. Yeah. While I laid asleep, took my virginity. So scared to say something, so I just put the blame on me. Now here I am and I'm trying my best to be honest. Cause there's forces out there trying to keep me from being an artist. I admit I'm at rock bottom, and this shit has rocked my mind. I'm calling on my hood, come walk by my side. They don't want me to shine. Women's group, my God. Now don't get it twisted, I do support them, but why they wanna bring down my art? Damn, this is breaking my heart. Cause from fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters, I'm a part of the music culture. Spotify took me off their playlist. I admit that I've been underrated. I'm not convicted, not arrested, but drag my name in the dirt. All this work to be successful, and you abandoned me cause of what you heard. I admit I am not perfect. I never said I was perfect. Say I'm abusing these women. What the fuck, that's some absurd shit. The brainwashed, really? Kidnapped, really? Can't eat, really? Real talk, that shit sounds silly. And if you really, really wanna know, a father dropped her off at my show and told his boy to put her on the stage. I admit that she was overage. I admit that I was feeling her, and I admit that she was feeling me. I admit that that's just some shit that come with being a celebrity. I ain't chasing these ladies, no. These ladies are chasing me, yeah. And I'm only saying all this shit cause how they tryna play me, yeah. I admit that this is no disrespect to the parents, but this is my advice to you, cause I'm also a parent. Don't push your daughter in my face and tell me that it's okay, cause your agenda is to get paid and get mad when it don't go your way. I know y'all look at me like I don't go through things, but I'm human. I know it's hard sometimes, but try to keep in mind that I'm human. Fuck all the fortune and fame, forget the name, I'm a human. I can't believe all the under the table shit they doing. I'm tired of fingers pointed at me. I'm tired of all this weight on me. I'm tired of everybody want a piece of me. Shit, I'm not an ATM machine. What do I do when I can't do what I do? How can I win if I can't win with truth? Got a couple of dead homies that I promised I would make it out this shit. And I know that God's hands is on me, nigga. I'm gonna make it out this shit. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Not claiming the storm's over. I admit I talked to Miss McGuinn. FYI, that's my second month. I admit that I asked her, how am I gonna get the world off my shoulder? She said, son, don't you lose it. Sometimes you gotta go through it. They can say what they say, but at the end of the day, they cannot deny your music. Cause your music has touched people. It inspired all people overseas, everywhere. Don't worry, don't care. Cause the anointing is on you. And that's why these haters is at you. So just keep on doing you, baby. You don't have to give these fools an explanation. I admit it, I made it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. What's the definition of a cult? What's the definition of a sex slave? Go to the dictionary, look it up. Let me know, I'll be here waiting. Now I admit I got some girls that love me to pull their hair. And I admit they love me to talk dirty when I pull their hair. Yeah. Some like me to spank them, some like to get brain. And what some of these girls want is too much for the radio station. Look, I'm just a man, y'all, not a monster or beast. But I admit there are times when these girls so fine out here that a nigga for a week. Now I admit I love Hugh Hefner, and through the years supported Hugh Hefner. But when he left this world, he had a million girls, but we gon' always love Hugh Hefner. To Jim C. regardless or whatever your name is. You've been trying to destroy me for 25 whole years. Writing the same stories over and over and over again. Off my name, you the one that made yourself a career. Well, guess what? I pray for you and your family and all my other enemies. I'm not gonna let y'all steal my joy. I'm just gonna keep on doing me. Now I don't know what else to say except I'm so falsely accused. Tell me, how can you judge when you never walk in my shoes? So easy to mess up someone else's life through social media, the devil in disguise. I admit I miss my brothers, but I admit they wasn't acting like brothers. Yeah, we've had our differences, but you don't turn on your brother for nothing, for no one, nada, mama, Joanne is watching. She must be turning over in her grave. Yeah. I admit I had to borrow a couple of M's from the label. All these hits out, but I couldn't put food on the table. I was told I had to sell my cars. I was told I couldn't get a loan. Said I owed $20 million to the IRS and they was coming to get my home. I admit I was feeling stupid standing in the Homewood suites. Disrespect. Sipping Hennessy, trying to figure out what happened to me. There was so much going through my head, cause I knew that something wasn't right. I just couldn't put my finger on it, but my spirit had better eyes. It told me what it saw, and it scared the shit out of me. It said get rid of them all, it's nothing but vultures around me. I admit that I love my fans for all the push and support they've shown. I admit if it wasn't for them, I would have never stayed strong. Now I'm not tripping on all of these rumors that don't bother me. And I'm not paying attention to these haters that don't bother me. But what blows me is when certain people turn phony. They say, Rob, I got your back. Rob, you the man. But they really doubting me. Bitch, you know who you are. Bitch, I bought you a car. Bitch, you stayed in my crib. I loved you with all my heart. Now I don't like to brag when it comes to me, but I'm giving back to the community. From the non-profits to the charities. But of course you'll never hear that about me. To them niggas that drink my liquor and smoke my stogies, How come you ain't on Facebook checking up for me when you're around me most of the day? And you know that I'm a good brother. Always got your hands out, it ain't no doubt that y'all niggas ain't nothing but blood suckers. Plus, y'all ain't bringing nothing to the table. Yeah, nigga, and you know it's real talk. Taking pictures with me for your Instagram, but when I need you, you're quick to get lost. Whoa. No, no. Robert J and Joe A, my kids. What you hearing out here about that? Guys, I'm sorry for this. I'm so sorry, I can't imagine what y'all must be going through. Every day it's something about me, my God, it must be killing you. I promise there'll be better days. Just keep walking straight. I know you must be worried, but just know that I'm okay. For me, things has gotten rough. Right now I can't say too much, but for y'all I will stay tough. Daddy just needs y'all to trust and believe in it. I admit that I've told the truth and feel not free. Still won't hate me, still won't stone me, still won't chain me. Think they won't kill me. I admit it, I admit it. I admit it, I did it. I admit it, I did. I admit it, I did it. Now, no disrespect to Shot Town, my home. But we've gotta learn how to support our own. I admit that my heart cries for my city, cause we're losing young lives in the city. Instead of judging me, y'all should be using me to help these kids, raise them out of depression and poverty. Now I'm not saying I'm no savior, but I could be an inspiration. This is an invitation. Man, I admit I go through so much day to day. Got 23 lawyers, 3 or 4 managers. What am I doing? Show me the way. The only thing I have left is my voice. And now I have to use it for my protection, because they left me no choice. See, my work has nothing to do with my private life. So stay the fuck out of my business and tend to your own damn life. So go ahead, say what you wanna say about who I wanna be, but you won't say that shit to my face, cause you know it ain't shit to say. Next nigga bring me some dumb shit, it's gonna be a misunderstanding, cause niggas that listen to dumb shit are niggas that be on that dumb shit. They need a life cause they ain't got no life, so they always caught you in the dumb shit. Blocking my path, they don't know the half and soft, they making assumptions. Since when do assumptions? Cause a man his whole career. Found guilty when you're innocent is the only test I feel. There is one thing that's for sure, and I wanna make this shit clear. I done lived my voice and represented my country for 31 fucking years. Damn it, I admit, I admit, I admit, I admit, I admit, I admit, I admit.
What's up, everybody in the chat? Miss Lady T, J Rock, shout out to everybody. Midas, thank you for that order. I'm happy you enjoyed those cookies. But ain't it crazy? You can make a 19-minute song and summarize everything you need to say. And people still out here lost in the sauce. People still out here need to do these interviews with these janky ass people trying to put together a story that the feds were supposed to investigate 4 goddamn years ago. Make this shit make sense. A lot of people I heard the news that was put on this little gossip blog that said R. Kelly was beat up, and I haven't seen a confirmation on that. So my suggestion, as normal, if you don't see any confirmation coming from his defense, that's all I'm gonna say. I wouldn't run with it. Now, clearly, it's a lot of people that put out information that like to rile people up for their own agendas. especially when it comes to slandering R. Kelly's brand. Like how we watched individuals come out here and tell the public that this man was a threat. He was holding hostages. Women were pissing in buckets. All this crazy shit. And that all he wanted was to make sure his daughter was fine, healthy, and okay, right? But a lot of people will skip right on past the shit that I pointed out that were the red flags before a surviving R. Kelly came into play, right? Let's take a step back.
Playing no motherfucking games with you, boy. I gave you 120 hours to get back in touch with me, nigga. But fuck them 120 hours, nigga. You talking about my daughter. You know you're supposed to be working with her music, R. Kelly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Robert R. Kelly, the singer, you bitch ass nigga. I got you, boy. Yeah, come fuck with me. This Savage, Tim Savage. Fuck you, nigga.
Now it's real cute that Tim Savage can come out here now, put on his little jerry curl and all that shit, and try to act like he's so civilized. But he might forget how a lot of us were introduced to him. And as he put out there in the headlines, he was angry that R. Kelly kidnapped and seduced his teenage daughter. And then let's think about how this propaganda kept floating around of teenage girls. And clearly 18, 19 are still teenage. So the wordplay that I began to unravel for my audience was very clear, especially when R. Kelly himself give you the main person frontline in a lot of these stories we've heard on repeat that have inspired so many book deals, that have inspired these documentaries, that should be held accountable for the bullshit we've seen play out on these platforms.
Jocelyn Savage. My name is Savage.
Listen, bro, the card, look, bro, the card man with R. Kelly in my living room, bro.
Let's pause right there, because not only did we see these characters emerge on these platforms, but we saw a lot of instigators who wanted to put all this information out here saying they were dealing with R. Kelly, when in reality, they were dealing with janky ass people who had their own motivations to the things that they were actively participating in. The problem I had is how people wanted to selectively ignore how I presented them interfering with these federal investigations that clearly skipped around some of this shit that we all seen, as they selectively pinpointed things that they wanted to put in their paperwork.
All this shit about somebody. I'm putting all the music out and making that public. I'm telling you this right now. I'm putting his music, his videos, all paying people reading for profit. We need money for them to go for the real defense. We have witnesses high and powerful. Law firms that really take Rob's case. We know what they got the cost, and we have to raise money from them. The platform that I'm putting them out on, and they show how much money is coming in, and they will show the money being donated to this firm to represent his case. And it has to be done as strategically.
Now we're going to pause right there because I want to make a mental note for you all to go back and watch Don Russell's most recent interview, in which he double talks a lot of the stuff that some of us witnessed him putting on these platforms, including how he was trying to put R. Kelly's music out here for profit. Then he gets exposed for all the janky shit he's doing because he's trying to muscle his will upon others, and shit backfire. Problem I had with a lot of individuals is, as I continue to try to separate some of these allegations that other people were initiating, clearly people continuously came out here trying to make it true. So we're going to pause right there because a lot of people want to come in with this surviving R. Kelly shit and skip all the stuff that led up to it. They skip all the stuff that I told you was put on Instagram, for example, that ended up in these indictments, that ended up as exhibits that clearly showed me, why is evidence being put on social media? Why are witnesses being led on social media? Then, when they go in court, they want to be anonymous Jane Does. Meanwhile, as we watch the media, they keep putting these narratives out there as though there's children involved in these cases, knowing good and goddamn well, as I told you all years ago, if you looked at the blueprint from Surviving R. Kelly, they wanted to use two focal points to reel in all these allegations. The damn tape everybody claimed they saw, and the so-called marriage certificate. But the problem is, when it comes to the specific charges, they couldn't pin that on R. Kelly. So clearly, the strategic ways they maneuvered in order to facilitate the actual charges is bullshit. To hear people still get on these platforms now that this man was put in the position to where he couldn't properly defend himself, his funds were fucked up, people raising all this money in his name, giving the impression that he's a flight risk, all this shit going on to hinder his judicial process. Meanwhile, now I'm supposed to sit and listen to people talk about how he can prove his innocence when, goddamn it, I thought it was the fucking prosecutor's job to prove their allegations. But nobody wanted to hear me say they didn't want him to have a defense. So when the goofies come out here saying, well, it's a good thing because they just set up for his appeal, how fucking dumb is that? So you mean to tell me I'm gonna sacrifice 4 years of my life when all these people out here claiming they got all this information to contradict these allegations against me, including the motherfucker who wrote the book, who claimed on these platforms, oh, Surviving R. Kelly didn't take my book and do this and that, then come out here all these years later talking about people were meeting with me, trying to get me to do these interviews, trying to turn Sex Me into a documentary, and nobody's supposed to put two and two together. Nobody's supposed to remember that it was Tiny Tim and his wife who came out here and exposed this author of this book in question, which is why she in turn started exposing all of them, which is very detailed, documented on my channel. The problem is a lot of people couldn't see the collages, the screenshots that I put together so that as I replay this when I feel like it, I can remember in order what's really going on as these people keep getting on here contradicting their stories. Because at the end of the day, it ain't for me to sit here and say this person is lying, this person is lying. It was my position to document it all and let you decide whether you believe what's being placed out here or not. But the fact that it hindered this judicial process, as I said, people volunteered themselves in these indictments, then pointed the finger at R. Kelly as this RICO enterprise. Absurd. But let's just pause right there and go to this video, which I point out is the blueprint for these indictments. And everybody will skip past how that implies a lot of these Jane Does lied on their grand jury testimonies. A lot of these officials lied, which would indicate misconduct in handling this case. But whose job is that to prove it? Whose job is it to investigate? Now let's pause. Clearly, the message I gave you right in this area is, as I said, we're going to take old allegations that they say everybody knew about, and we're going to bring in the current. Everybody was making this fuss about these girls that were allegedly being held hostage. And it's mighty funny they wanted to run with all the youthful looking images of them. Meanwhile, when they come out, they out here in thongs and all this bikinis and all that extra shit. But let's continue. Nobody found it odd the specific songs that were placed in Surviving R. Kelly, the specific images that were licensed for Surviving R. Kelly, and the fact that people out here talking about they gonna sue Lifetime and a musclehead fool come out here and threaten a premiere should shed light as to the jankiness that begin to give me red flags, considering it don't take a genius to recognize how you can legally shut down a production that's defaming your character. Now you bring in Aaliyah because of course that's everybody's go-to, but he married Aaliyah. Then you bring in this so-called witness who can be challenged for the simple fact, where was her proof she was on some tour to see Aaliyah and R. Kelly on the back of the bus? And why is it everybody gonna skip past? That's the same damn story somebody from public announcement came out here saying. So you mean to tell me it was a frequent occurrence of R. Kelly and Aaliyah being in the back of the tour bus getting caught, and they ain't get smart enough to figure out, we might want to do something different if that were the case? Went too fast. Hold up. Now, we're going to pause because the major emphasis is how these people come to the public with these stories. He's abusing minors. But then when you get into the paperwork, and here you got women who lied about their ages, who had fake IDs. You read articles that were saying that R. Kelly did not know that one of the Jane Does, specifically Geronda Pace, was 16 years old. Meanwhile, everybody want to bypass the manipulation and hold him accountable and not realize the flaw in this concept. Not only that, but it's mighty strange that a lot of these Jane Does linked up with the same janky ass attorney who's now convicted of extortion. Let's pause right there. Because if you revert back to the I Admit song, R. Kelly's telling you that he's practically broke, that he's making his living off of his shows. Then you got this organization who comes up, wake up out their sleep one day and decide, we finna organize this Mute R. Kelly campaign because even though we've heard about all these rumors, we're going to jump on the base of people's allegations and hinder this man's right to make a living for himself. Meanwhile, people in the background conspiring, how can we get the golden goose, as they said? How can we get these charges to stick? How you gonna defend yourself if you got people organizing to hinder your funds, you know that you owe the IRS. You got all these obstacles in your way, and the money you do have coming in is being attacked. Now pause. It don't say a lot when the documentary that comes out to initiate this investigation is owned by the same people that hold your music contracts. It's not odd that all these publications and media outlets that slander your brand are in the same corporation and conglomerate working against you, still profiting off of you. Meanwhile, and it's not odd that all of these people who got so much energy towards R. Kelly don't revert none of that liability towards Sony, Warner, Universal, etc. Now let's pause. According to what these people said, victims have rights. Now, at this particular time, Rashona Landfair obviously was not participating with the shenanigans. She even had an attorney who came out with, I believe it was TMZ, same media outlet that was slandering R. Kelly, come out and put out a statement that there was no payoff, which was one of his charges in the Chicago Fed case. So they're putting out the information that he paid this girl off. They got this extortionist attorney out here putting out propaganda, giving the implication that Geronda Pace and all these other Jane Does are on these tapes. Meanwhile, you get to going through the transcripts and all the indictments, and you realize these people keep reverting to the same damn tape that they say everybody watched way back then, but couldn't get charges to stick. But now we do all this extra shit. We get this alleged person to come out. And even when she gets on the stand, her testimony's all over the place. According to them, they identified her by a specific necklace that she supposedly had. She gets on the stand and say, I didn't even have that necklace on. It's just so many conflicting statements within there, including another Jane Doe thinking she was the girl on the tape. So again, it was just so much that was unveiled in that court proceeding that shows me the hypocrisy within our community. The fact that it was said Rashona Landfair, the alleged girl in question, had an affair with Andrea Kelly. Meanwhile, she's still all over here recruiting and training girls with her sexercise routines, and nobody says boo. She was around from the Aaliyah time period and on up, yet nobody says boo about her accountability. But this is the world we live in when these girls who were volunteering to participate in certain lifestyles want to be victims after they feel some type of way. Which brings me to an interesting point. A lot of people skip past how I connected a lot of these allegations back to Africa Bambaataa, for example, because I find it very interesting, or not Africa Bambaataa, Dr. York, Malik York. I find it very interesting that as I'm researching this R. Kelly case and I'm researching Lisa Van Allen and I'm looking all these articles pop up and I'm seeing more names trend with hers to the fact that There's a guy in question by the name of Damon Pryor. A lot of people like to keep skipping around. And as they say, R. Kelly has a cult. This dude, Damon Pryor, coins himself as Baby York. He's supposed to be the leader of this Nuwapian cult. Now, if you know anything about this Nuwapian faith, it's kind of like some of these Muslims out here. A lot of these conscious leaders who adapt the Muslim faith, and a lot of them, just my opinion, they be on some bullshit, as we see in the case of Polite. But that's neither here nor there. The point was, we never saw a cult when it came to R. Kelly. The fact that they had to organize a fake rescue, lie to the girl just to get her to engage with her mother, and spin this wild, crazy narrative to the public. Meanwhile, as I previously mentioned, the public sitting here still looking lost as to why people are still saying free R. Kelly. I don't know what else to say at this point, other than, as I said 4 years ago, if these people believed he was guilty of specific charges, most people would think they would charge him for those specific charges instead of getting creative, as they said, as Tim Savage's lawyer came out saying, having to um, destroy the narrative around R. Kelly. But how does that make sense when you originally say everybody knew this and that about R. Kelly, then come back and say you had to destroy a narrative that was built around him? Then you got people that want to make him out to be this boss. But let's figure it out. A lot of people will tell you that he was getting stipends, for example. He wasn't in control of his money, for example. People like to keep playing with this. I thought he couldn't read, for example. Didn't you just hear this 19-minute song when this man tell you he was dyslexic? Like, every question that people wanted to know about this man, you could have found in that 19-minute song I started this live with. But instead, people like to gravitate toward these janky ass characters that come on these platforms wanting to tell their truth that ain't the truth. That's where people got shit fucked up. Now, according to Don, who a lot of people said was the muscle, Sony has recovered or reclaimed R. Kelly's intellectual property. Now, how would I know if that's true or not? All I know is I told y'all that shit didn't even belong to R. Kelly. So how in the entire fuck this motherfucker think he was gonna maneuver and strategize and do all this shit and try to put this music out for profit and then think it's gonna go unnoticed? Anybody figure that out yet? Anybody figure out how these people expected us, the general public, to keep silently watching these people proclaim that individuals are sending things to the prosecutors and not acknowledge the fact? Well, even if that were the case, wouldn't you think that would imply they're actually guilty of doing something? What could the prosecutors do if you were just exercising your freedom of speech, as I do, and point out that all of this shit is janky as fuck? I can get on my platform and say that shit every fucking day, and ain't nobody gonna come knocking on my door with no indictments, okay? The fact that people wanted to keep letting people manipulate how they were meddling with these attorneys, meddling with these witnesses, and people don't get what's coming out in this appeal, as the media doesn't want to really take interest into it. Just like when it came to the trial, how much unbiased reporting did you see? How many times did you see people try and put out the defense side? Or did you see a pile up of the disgraced singer, and all of these accusations and all of this information that would put you at such unrest and disgust that you can't even pay attention to the corruption that's playing out in your face. Like, for example, how many of you knew that Jim Goddess, the same man that R. Kelly called out, came out previously accusing the Nation of Islam of having something to do with this quote unquote tape that everybody fucking knew about? Now, can I confirm that? Nope. But what I could tell you is that in court, it was testified that there was no minor on that tape, that clearly it wasn't an original tape because the guy says he got rid of the damn tape once he was given the tape. So how they recreated this tape, I don't know. But again, it's so many pieces that you can look up, such as this guy, Buddy Myers, who they claim had access to this tape at one point, who came out and said that was a lie. Among all of the implications that Sparkle had something to do with this alleged tape. So, let's go back. Jim Goddess putting the Nation of Islam out there. Like I said, it's just certain things that kept leading me back to Dr. Malachi York. And what I decided to do was look at this whole thing as a whole, and how, as I said, some of these people believe in that type of thing with their faith. That's them, you know. At the end of the day, if we don't know all the facts behind it, how can we rush to judgment? It's kind of like how when Malcolm X came out and he said that Elijah Muhammad was impregnating these teenage girls, and Farrakhan gets his ass out here and he says, well, why did he have to say they was teenage? God damn it, because they were teenage. Why is it people came out here and publicly condemned Malcolm for his change of heart when he see the shit these criminal-minded type people like to engage in, as we see on display, and then want to play with the law? It's unacceptable. People want to keep running back to this I'm sovereign bullshit. All this manipulation that we see across the board is ridiculous. So just my purview, Malcolm thought he was running with an organization that had a good cause. And once he came to a realization he wanted to do something different, why was it necessary for people to come out here on this hate train? Because he spoke the truth. Now, if he came out here and said Elijah Muhammad impregnated these girls and it wasn't true, and then they came out, that's one thing. But I could swear in the Muslim faith, they not supposed to come out here with all that shit. They supposed to sit down, mediate their problems within themselves. But hey, maybe that's the problem with a lot of people nowadays, is because so many run behind that, well, I don't want to get my brother man in trouble. But you don't want to check your brother man when he out of order. I'm trying to figure that out. I absolutely agree. I don't believe the Nation of Islam had anything to do with him getting that tape, because again, if people had researched that tape as I did, you would know that he did too much when it comes to passing that tape. And how you go 1 minute from saying you got this anonymous tape in your mailbox at one point in your career, and then just to spice it up, now you want to come back years later and say, well, I believe the Nation of Islam has something to do with it. Well, if they did, what that got to do with the fact that you are allegedly accused of manipulating said footage, that you are accused of mishandling alleged child porn, that you are accused of illegal activities that you don't want to get on the stand and testify to, as much as you write these goddamn articles. So it's going to be hard for me to believe anything that Jim Derogatis has said, especially when he wants to be the voice for little black women. And then try to flip the script. If y'all hadn't seen the latest coverage, I'm going to share that article in my community tab. But now they trying to flip the script and say, well, R. Kelly was prosecuted for abusing all these little black girls. But here you got all these people like Harvey Weinstein and all these other people who are trying to skirt past justice, and they abused all these white girls and da 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 da. Like, is this reverse racism? How you gonna try to use the little black girl narrative to give yourself a little credibility, to make it seem like you for the man, you doing something for a good cause? But then you get on platforms and practically say that the things that come out of your mouth are the byproduct of the self-hate that you see within the black community. He practically told us that with all the things that people that look like R. Kelly put out here against him, made jokes about him, why should he be different? And how y'all gonna try to pull the race card on him when y'all do the shit? Make that shit make sense. That's like Tasha K thinking that she got some type of journalistic coverage when she sit on her platform and gossip. That's not the same fucking thing. You see the delusions all these people that hate R. Kelly live in. You got people over here that could just hear gossip and run with that shit. Just like we heard R. Kelly got attacked and people gloating and running and oh, these people so Christian. Oh, these people are for the people. They're here to advocate and do this and do that. I don't mean no harm, but boo-boo. None of these people could advocate for me. None of these people could be for me. I don't know a God. I don't know any God in any religion that operates in confusion other than Satan himself. So for these people to sit here and manipulate religion, and even when it comes to some of these conscious leaders who, in my opinion, have found ways to pimp the system, have realized we can tie in religion to the things that we're doing, and the law really can't say too much to us if we execute what we're doing properly. The flaw is too many people out here with this sovereign rogue bullshit that have themselves being deemed as practical terrorists so that they can't manipulate the law no matter how hard they try. Then you got the people who ain't got common sense to know that some things should come to you with common sense. If you're telling me that because I ain't finna get on here every day and break down all this paperwork that I read that other people decided they don't want to read and tell you this, and that, makes the things that I've put out there less credible than the people that you have seen flip-flopping all over the place, guess who is not gonna give a fuck? Because I stand the same way I stood 4 years ago. And even though a lot of fans and a lot of people didn't like it, unfortunately, R. Kelly is going through his storm. It ain't a goddamn thing we can do for him other than trust his process. Now, when it comes to the corruption that we saw, that's where we at now. Because I'm not going backwards. I'm not gonna keep trying to break through none of the lies that were put out here that everybody can read and or review past content to try to catch up with. I'm not going to sit here and keep enabling these people who, in my opinion, as I said 4 years ago, wanted to be a part of the problem and the solution, who are now backpedaling, like Cass Jones. It's just so much that I can say about the things that I've heard in the last lives I've watched, but I think I'll break them down in content. I just wanted to come live tonight specifically because I was asked. Really didn't feel like it because I had something else planned for today, but time got away from me, so I'll just reschedule that. I had planned to bring on a special guest, but like I said, time got away from me. But I did want to make sure I came live for those people, like I said, who saw the headlines, who might have got a little distracted, who forgot. We just sitting back watching the dominoes continue to fall. It's a lot of people out here that need to be held accountable for the fact R. Kelly should not be in jail right now to even be in the position to be attacked, especially when you can go and Google the predators in your neighborhood. So, like I said 4 years ago, the aggressive way these people came was a red flag to me when I know for a fact these people practically slap these predators' hands when they commit crimes. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to believe they want this man under the jail for some shit they said he did in the 90s, for some shit they said everybody knew about, for some shit they said they continue to profit on, and ain't nobody gonna bring that energy towards the corporations. Man, y'all crazy as fuck. Crazy as fuck. Yes, yes. Make sure you hit that like button and share. We're trying to grow and elevate here. And like I said, when I see some more participation, I'll make more time to come live. Nobody wants to sit here and spend all their time researching facts, spend their time presenting content, and nobody wants to show appreciation. But the difference between me is I ain't gonna sit on here and keep begging and begging and begging and hoping you support me. Either you do or you don't. Either way, I'm going to put that information out there. And whenever you stumble across it, is when you stumble across it. But at the end of the day, I just find it very hypocritical how these people ran to this internet. Oh, R. Kelly got beat up. R. Kelly got attacked. And then had a nerve to say it's a rumor. Ain't that pretty much how all these allegations started, with rumors? And people organized all these people to come out here collectively and keep fueling these rumors to the point that these so-called investigators claim they're investigating the allegations, right? Again, how they miss all this shit that played out on these internet platforms? How did they miss some of their so-called evidence being laid out on Instagram? How did they miss some of their key witnesses being coerced and enticed and intimidated? And not by R. Kelly. How did they miss the same people involved in the surviving R. Kelly scripts can't even remember half the shit they've put out there? How is it 4 years after the fact, after a docu-series has how many series did they do? I don't even know. I lost count. How do they have all these series with this documentary, come out with another documentary, then come out with a final chapter? They got about 10 goddamn books with all these accusers, and to this day they can't even tell you who the person who started all this shit is. Is it because they rather keep trying to cover their ass than hold the proper people accountable to realize that they were just small pawns in this whole picture? So clearly, there was no need for any supporter to turn any focus on these characters when we see the plays. If you miss my uploads today, I pretty much just revisited how we got here. And let's go back to the misconduct with Kim Foxx. Let's talk about her and her secret meetings and how Chicago has been constantly calling her out for letting criminals pretty much walk free. But she wants us to believe she had such an interest in prosecuting R. Kelly, just to turn around and drop the fucking case. The weakest of them all, might I say. How do we skip past the fact that nobody ever revisited R. Kelly's attorneys requesting the communications between Avenatti and Kim Foxx? Why did nobody put the pressure on Kim Foxx way back then? Oh, skip that, scratch that. Why do we see this pattern of these government officials being allowed to abuse their positions and then try to build fucking cases talking about a celebrity is abusing his authority? How does that work? You got a janky ass clerk who allegedly took a bribe, who's allowed to retire, didn't take the stand. You got a BOP officer accessing confidential and private emails, passing them out all over the place, able to retire. And not only that BOP, but other, like numerous other officers accessing this man's confidential information. Now you got old Kim Foxx, the person who initiated these investigations, saying she's not running for her third term. But nobody will do a deep dive into all of these political contributions that these people get in order to fulfill the agendas they do. How many people took the time to follow up on my lead as to how much money George Soros donated to Kim Foxx? Meanwhile, she pulled some favors to try to get Jussie Smollett case dropped. I find that very interesting. Like the Eighth Amendment, and it specifically is supposed to be to protect you from cruel and unusual punishment, excessive bail, etc. These people, as you saw, and if you saw my last upload about this guy from Memphis, he's a serial child predator who, according to them, admitted to some of the crimes. He got a bond. Can he make the bond? I don't know. But the point is, he got a bond. But these people wanted to paint R. Kelly as this sadistic predator out here luring kids like the Pied Piper. But they so dumb, they ain't even read the goddamn story. They ain't even read the part where, you know what, go read the story. Go read the story and you will see it's the little things that these people came out here manipulating that let me know they a little slow too. But again, a lot of these people banked on you not to read these books. What they say, you want to hide something from a Negro, Black American citizen, put it in a book. Now, with that being said, anybody want to jump up? I'll drop the link. Like I said, I ain't want too much tonight, but to again drive home. These people real funny. These people real funny out here with their gossip news, their fake news, and their clickbait. But just my advice for all those smart people out there, instead of waiting on people to come to YouTube and try to give you legal expertise as to what people that are being paid and or who took a job to do certain things should be doing, how about we look at what we as citizens should be doing, which is making official complaints against the corruption we've witnessed. Now, I ain't the type to sit up here and tell you to write this and write this and do this and do this and do this, because the problem with a lot of us Black Americans is we won't exercise our own rights. You have the right to be given valid information. You have the right to be free from propaganda. Now, when you see a corporation like CNN, Warner Brothers, Fox News gets sued for defamation, clearly some people will catch where I'm going with this shit. Now, if more American citizens stood up against the propaganda that has been allowed to take over our news station, our media outlets, our platforms, then maybe, just maybe, you won't see so much injustice. You won't see so much one-sided stories. People won't be triggered to be so defensive toward their brothers. Think about it like this when it comes to some of the Caucasian peoples. Some of these people never encounter brown-skinned Americans. So if all they seeing is violence and negativity and all this bullshit about us, and we never change that narrative, and we're complacent letting other people keep telling our fucking stories, when the fuck will it end? When they can go back to our goddamn history books and tell us they not gonna teach our kids this, and this, but they still teaching our kids that Christopher Columbus discovered this land, that's some bullshit. How in the entire fuck is people still content? Oh, I get Christopher Columbus day off work. Oh, you just happy you get a day off work. You gonna keep letting this shit go, even though you know good and goddamn well you can't discover no shit people at. The fuck? But anywho, that's where I'm going with this shit. I feel like when these propaganda mongols are held accountable, they'll cut that shit short. When these officials are held accountable that are running for these political offices, they'll straighten this shit up. When individuals abusing their official offices are prosecuted or penalized, they'll cut this shit short. But if we just keep talking about it, what's going to get accomplished? When we still see the same shit going on in 2023 that was going on in 1943. These people just done got smarter. They ain't got to go string up the Negroes no more and hang them on a tree. For what? We be our own enemy. And it's all because we can't come together and form a plan unless it's to take each other down. And that's some bullshit. And what's sad is a lot of these people fail to realize just how the CIA and the FBI are involved in entertainment. But that's a whole nother life. But anywho, I guess nobody wants to come up. I'm going to let y'all go as I get ready to prepare for the rest of the content I'm uploading. Stay on the lookout. Again, make sure your notifications are on all so that you can get all of my notifications. YouTube be tripping. Other than that, y'all have a good night. Hope y'all enjoyed this live. Check out the 3 uploads I did today, and y'all have a good night.